There are several negative opinions surrounding the cattle industry, whether it be beef or dairy. People think these livestock are living in terrible conditions, being mistreated and misused. However, that is not at all true. The cattle industry is one of the best out there. There are two main types and uses of cattle. There are beef cattle and there are dairy cattle. Beef cattle are raised for meat production, dairy cattle are raised for milk production. Beef cattle production systems are defined as all commercial cattle production systems where the purpose is breeding, rearing, and finishing of cattle intended for beef consumption. On the dairy side of things, cows are bred to specifically produce large quantities of milk like humans. Cows only produce milk after they have given birth. Dairy cows must give birth to at least one calf a year to produce milk. In both industries, a lot of other things go on behind the scenes. Cattle are either tagged in the ear or branded for identification purposes. They are given numerous vaccines a year. They are bred either naturally or artificially. They are preg checked and they give birth. Although it is not the easiest, the people who care for these livestock take every precaution to give them the best care they can provide. There are many negative opinions and stigmas surrounding the industry. As stated before, the cattle undergo a lot and people think this may be abuse. They say pregnancy checking is a violation to the cow, squeeze chutes used for vaccinations hurt the cattle, they should not give birth, they shouldn't be forced to give milk, they need better care, and the list goes on and on. People claim they are causing a global issue because pastures take up land as well as fields used to grow feed, and they say feedlots cause high levels of local air and water pollution. There is one commonly known group called PETA. They claim that they are creating awareness to reduce the suffering of cattle. Their big thing is trying to convince people to go vegan and remove meat from your diet. They claim this will make you feel better. Really, they are trying to get people to think the beef industry is terrible and cattle are mistreated and abused. They think the slaughtering part is unnecessary. PETA's description of the industry is absolutely horrifying and not at all what it really is. PETA said, in the U.S., more than 29 million cows suffer and die in the meat and dairy industries every year. When still very young, cows are branded with burning hot irons, their horns are gouged out or burned off, and male cattle have their testicles ripped out of their scrotum, all without any painkillers. Another quote by the group is, once they have grown large enough, cows raised for beef are sent to massive, filthy outdoor feedlots where they are fattened for slaughter. Cows on dairy farms are repeatedly artificially impregnated every year and then traumatically separated from their newborn calves until finally their bodies wear out and they are sent to be killed too. Cattle who do not die from traffic accidents on their way to slaughter are shot in the head with a captive bolt gun and hung up by one leg to have their throats cut before being skinned and gutted. We should not focus on all the terrible things PETA says for too long because they do not deserve the kind of attention. Any smart person should know better than to even halfway believe the things the organization says along with other uneducated people. Branding can be done two ways, freeze or fire. Although either way will cause discomfort and pain, cattle have thick skin and the feeling isn't long lasting. The effects don't actually kick in until at least 15 minutes later and do not last long at all. Branding is also not done until the cattle are at least 60 days old. Some people will wait even longer. Pregnancy checking is extremely beneficial and has very minimal hazard to the animal. Again, it is uncomfortable, but it's not painful to the cow at all. They will let you know if you are harming them. It also takes no longer than a minute or two. As for vaccinations, cows have to remain healthy just like humans, so obviously they will need to be vaccinated. They have tough, thick skin, so they are more likely than to not feel much. Squeeze chutes are completely harmless. The cattle are not suffocated and they have wiggle room. They are not cramped or hurt while standing in a chute. Again, they would let you know if they were being harmed and you would release pressure. Castration on bull calves should occur when they are babies using a banding machine. The band is put around the calf's testicles using an elaster tool. This should not be painful if done correctly. The testicles slowly fall off, therefore it is not painful. Of course, you have the risk of infection or complication, but the people who care for these livestock check on them daily and are properly equipped in case infection occurs. Horns aren't gouged out. If the calf is young, horn paste will be used, which prevents the growing. If they are older, they are either tipped or burned. Again, if this is done correctly, pain won't be experienced. It has been proven that these are all ways to dehorn cattle with the least amount of observable pain. Also, painkillers are used if the procedure is going to be extremely painful. This goes for anything. Dairy cattle aren't always artificially inseminated. It is done the natural way too. It is proven that AI is safe and humane. It is not painful. Again, it might be uncomfortable, but it is not long lasting. Farmers, ranchers, vets, etc. know their cattle. If they feel it is not best for them to be pregnant, they will not let it happen or force it. As for milking dairy cattle, this is their job. They want to do it. It is uncomfortable for them to carry that milk around, so they want to be milked. If they aren't milked, they can experience infection or mastitis. If they do not want to be milked, they will not let it happen. Dairy cattle do not have mothering qualities. They are not good mothers. They do not know how to care for babies. This is why the babies are taken away to be cared for by humans who give them the best care. If they were left with their mothers, most would die of starvation or being stepped on and crushed. Slaughtering is done humanely. It is actually illegal for animals to feel pain when being slaughtered. They are stunned so they feel no pain, and the stunning also does not hurt. The cattle die a quick, painless death. Cattle feed your country. They do this for you. Farmers and vets know what they are doing. They make the best decisions regarding their livestock, and they would not make a bad decision or a harmful decision. Although there are many negative opinions and stigmas surrounding the industry, none are backed up or proven. However, the truth is proven. Cattle feed the world. They feed us. They receive the best care possible and never are put in harm's way or on purpose or forcefully. Most importantly, if they didn't want to, they wouldn't, and if they were experiencing pain, they would let you know some way. PETA is a terrible group who claims unfactual and unsupported things. Never believe everything you see or hear on the internet without finding proof. After all, if you have not experienced the industry or learned about it, you probably don't know much about it, and should not go around spreading false information. The industry is a great thing, and no, it is not always perfect, but it has done the best it can be.